Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Inside IU Volleyball with head coach Sherry Dunbar, a special September 11th version of this show. So before we begin, Coach, we'd like to get a special remembrance to all families and friends involved, all the heroes of that eventful day in this country, the NYPD, the fire department, just everyone involved with such a tragic event.
Yeah, I know you look at this, and I know everybody probably says this, but I remember I was coaching at Tennessee at the time. We were flying back from California, and I remember thinking a day like today, I was in the plane thinking, what a beautiful day to fly. And we were actually one of the last planes to land on that day because we'd flown from California to Charlotte and then early in the morning from Charlotte back to Tennessee. And so they told us right when we landed, and you know, it's still a shock every year. I think it never goes away, and hopefully it never will go away, because I think that the media can use this as a good thing for once, you know, and to really keep it in people's minds. And it's the worst tragedy to ever happen in American history.
It's one of those events you just remember exactly where you were.
Absolutely.
Fifth grade English class for me back in
Fifth
Fishers,
grade,
Indiana.
I'm coaching. Okay, let's not talk anymore about that.
Now goes back to volleyball, a 1-2 weekend here at the Butler Invitational. Not exactly the offensive output that you expected or wanted to see from your team. And in that opener, it started off with just a tough 5-set loss to Stephen F. Austin, one where the momentum seemed to just shift back and forth. The fifth and final set, you guys were able to jump out to a 10-3 lead at one point, but couldn't quite just keep the foot on the pedal for those final points.
Yeah, which is, you know, even as bad as we played in that match to be up 10-3 in the fifth, you think, okay, you know, I mean, we have to score 5 points before they score 12. And in volleyball, that seems like a pretty easy thing to do. But when that momentum shifted, and I think they went on a 9-0 run, we just couldn't stop things. You know, I think I put in 4 different hitters, and we just couldn't find the floor. So that kind of started the weekend off, and it you know, just wasn't a great weekend for us, to be honest. And we sat down as a staff yesterday and crunched a lot of numbers, and sat down with the captains. We talked with the team, and you know, we actually had one of the best Monday practices we've had all season. And I think for them, you know, we kind of made it a black and white thing. Like, here's where we are. This is how many kills we're averaging when we win sets and we win matches. When we don't, this is where we are. This is where we need to be. And then we broke it up. You know, Jordan, you need to have this many kills. Marsh, you need to have this many kills. And I think it made it kind of real for them. Like, okay, this is what I have to do. And sometimes that's what you need to do, is break it down so it doesn't seem so insurmountable. You know, it's like this huge thing. Like, oh my gosh, how are we going to change this? Well, when you break it down by the numbers, it made it much easier for them to say, okay, I don't have to do everything. I have to do my part. So I need to average 3 kills a set, and I need to average 2.5 digs a set and 1 block a set. I can do that. You know, I don't need to get 15 kills, you know. So we got done. There was just a sense of, we can do this. It's going to take a lot of hard work this week, but our offense needs to be better, and I know that I need to add another kill a set. So I've got to work on these specific things. So I thought it was just very, very good for all of us as a staff to be able to do that and then sit down and share that information with them. And I thought it really helped our practice be much more focused on the things that we need to accomplish this week in practice.
And one good thing about the timing of this tournament, it is still in the preseason, so it's kind of nice as a staff, as you mentioned, just that you're able to go back and iron out, okay, this is what you need to work on prior to Big Ten season starting next week.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have to get it ironed out. You know, I mean, obviously we would rather iron it out with some ugly wins than some ugly losses, which we did this past weekend, but we still have another weekend coming up at home in a home tournament that we need to do very well, and we need to have confidence going into the Big Ten season. So if we can get this fixed, and we will get this fixed this weekend, then I think we'll have, you know, something to say, okay, this is where we came from, and we keep moving forward, you know, and that's the thing. You don't want to go backwards at this point.
That opening match against SF Austin on Friday, you guys really bounced back nicely the next morning against Western Illinois, a 3-set victory, and actually your 200th victory as a collegiate head coach. So congratulations.
I tell everybody, I think it's just because I'm getting old, though. I'm not sure it's because, you know, the first 100 came a lot faster. Let's say that. When I was at college at Charleston, we won a lot of games fast, and so now they've slowed down a bit in the Big Ten.
And then that final match against Butler, it kind of sensed a similar match to SF Austin, just kind of struggled to find that offensive consistency, dropping the first 2 sets to the Bulldogs. Came out in the 3rd set, and it really seemed as if it was a new team, won 25-15. Everything just seemed to be flowing very nicely.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, we talked to the kids before. I don't think it wasn't that we weren't prepared to play Butler. I thought mentally we were ready to go. We watched film with the team. I thought their warm-up was good. But you're going against, and scheduling, you know, we look back at that and you think you're going up against a team that's an in-state rival for them. A lot of kids on their roster wanted to come to Indiana, and they definitely played with something to prove. And I think our kids played hard. I just don't think we played well. And so for them, though, when they got done, it was a very frustrating loss for all of us, because definitely we're Indiana University. I mean, we want to play at the highest level in the state, and we don't want to lose those type of matches. But I give credit to Butler. They came out with a great fire and a great passion, and played at a very high level, and never really let us have any breaks, you know, except that 3rd set. But give them determination. They came back in the 4th set and were on fire again, you know. So, I mean, it was a very well-earned victory for Butler, but a very frustrating loss for our program, because we know we're better than that. And we've seen ourselves, you know, against Georgia Tech and even the first weekend, and those play at a very high level. And we just didn't get to that level this past weekend.
Butler being that in-state rival, many of these players on the IU team most likely have played with some of those players from Butler. One player specifically, Caitlin Hansen from Roncalli High School in Indianapolis, 21, a career-high total of digs in that Butler match, really settling nicely that libero position. Yeah,
and we've talked about Caitlin. I still think she's just going to continue to get better. Her leadership, her confidence, I think everything grows day by day. I see it in practice. And, you know, she is going to be a great libero for us, and she's earning that position every day in the things she's doing on the court and off the court. And so it was nice to see her find some consistency, and we're going to work on her serve, getting a little bit more aggressive, and her first ball touch with passing. She's passing a lot of balls for us, and that kind of starts our offense, and so we want to make sure that that's always as consistent a tempo as we want to be. But the things she's doing on the court are really improving our program right now, and I see her just as getting better all the time.
After this most recent Butler tournament, I caught up with the junior libero, Caitlin Hansen, and talked about how the adjustment has been with a new position.
We've caught up with Caitlin Hansen after this most recent tournament. Caitlin, you're a junior now, your first season as libero. How's that adjustment been coming as a defensive specialist your first 2 years, kind of learning under Caitlin Cox? She's graduated, and you've kind of just come under her wing, and now it's your spot.
It's definitely a new experience. I think it's something that I'm taking. It's a great new opportunity for me, and I definitely get a new role. So it's definitely I had big shoes to fill, but definitely I'm way excited, and it's been great just like pushing the girls and pushing myself, and every day I try to get even better.
What type of leadership role does that kind of change, since you come in and out the court basically as much as you want, more frequently than others? What kind of leadership role, kind of getting in each other's face, just off the court, what does that mean to you?
Well, I definitely have more control. I almost touch the ball almost every single play, so that's definitely I have more of an impact on the team, and I'm in almost every single minute. So basically, it's my control. If I can control the tempo of the game, then it makes it easier for everyone else. I'm trying to make everyone's job easier.
Now, through the first few matches of this season, you can just tell numbers-wise, statistically, and just watching you on the court, it seems like you've made a few adjustments, just got more and more comfortable in that position. What kind of adjustments have you been making?
It's just more confidence, just being more aggressive, just taking more balls. She's always had fine digs, and you take as many passes as you can. So I'm just trying to take balls from girls, make their jobs easier again.
All right, well, thank you very much, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Caitlin Hansen has really just talked about her confidence has just built throughout this season, and her leadership role has definitely changed, moving from just a defensive specialist to constantly being on the court in that other uniform, the libero position, and it just really has switched the mindset of this team.
Yeah, we've talked about, you and I have, about the libero position is really the captain of defense, and she's allowed to make adjustments in the back row, and if she's feeling really good about her passing, to move people over and kind of make adjustments, and I think she's starting to do that more and more, and that's confidence, and that confidence came from the off-season training she did and the work that she put in, and I think that's a great foundation for her future.
Now, Coach, looking forward to this weekend, the Hoosier Classic back at U Gym. A nice home tournament to bring the fans around, the final preseason tournament before Big Ten play. What kind of final adjustments do you want to make before conference?
Well, I think just being more aggressive. I think, what we're learning is our serving needs to get tougher. I think we're going for more speed right now in what we're trying to do, because especially once we get into Big Ten play, we need to take teams out of system, out of the offense that they want to run. And if we're not serving aggressive enough, they're going to have a lot of weapons to come against our defense. So we're really focused on the speed of our serve in practice. We're focused on our offense of finding kills and spreading out our offense and adding some different offensive play sets in that we haven't been using the last few weeks. As Katie gets more comfortable running the offense, that's happening. So just tweaking things and obviously, getting our offense running. At times this season we've hit 364 and at times we've hit 097. So we have to come to a middle ground, and we're winning. We're hitting about 260. And if we could do that on a consistent basis right now, I'd feel good about where we are. You mentioned Katie Gallagher with obviously her first season in her freshman campaign as the starting setter, got her first all-tournament nod back at Butler. Just improving every single weekend. Well, and I feel like she's been one of the most consistent players we've had. As a freshman, running the offense, she stays calm. We've talked about she's starting to make better decisions, and she's starting to see the court better and things like that. But I think she's putting our hitters in good enough situations when we look back on film, one-on-one, split, block situations where they can find kills. And I think that trust has got to be there between her and the passing and the offense. We talked to the team. It's a community offense. Everybody's got to be involved. Everybody's got to be doing their part. And I think she's doing her part, and that's all we can ask her to do. Statistically speaking, through the first 3 weekends, another player that's really doing her part, particularly defensively, is Sam Thrower, who's actually leading the Big Ten and 7th in the country in blocks per set with just over a block and a half in her senior year. Just really making a statement on the blocks. Yeah, and I want her to keep that up. That's a big strength for her. Offensively, we need to get her up to about 3 kills a set. She's about 2 kills, and that's just adding 1 more. But defensively, she is definitely doing her part. So if we can get her to maintain that, she's just a dominating presence at the net, and I think she's at 1.59 blocks, and that's really impressive and something she's worked on. It's not just it came to her. She worked on it very hard. This final preseason tournament for the Hoosiers begins on Friday at University Gym, 7 p.m. against Valparaiso, and then 2 matches on Saturday at noon and 7. A very similar schedule for the Hoosiers as the Indiana Invitational just a few weeks back. Yeah, very similar teams, very similar schedule, but we're at home. And so we're really excited about that, to be back here. And I think the ROTC is coming out on Friday night, which will be fantastic. Jordan recorded her 1,000th kill, so we'll recognize that, which we're really excited about, all that she's done for us over the last couple of years. So, it's going to be a really fun weekend, and I know we have a lot of IU sports at home again, which is really great for our fans to be able to jump around, and we had some good crowds the last time we were home, so we hope they'll come out again. Hope everyone can make it out to U-Gym this weekend. If not, all of these games will be broadcasted on IUHoosiers.com again, 7 p.m. on Friday, 12 o'clock noon on Saturday, as well as the finale at 7 p.m. Coach, thank you for joining me on another edition of Inside IU Volleyball with Coach Sherry Dunbar. Thank you.